Hello, and welcome to my in-depth guide on how to learn space streams. This will specifically be a guide on how I learned to play space streams, and might not work for everybody, so keep that in mind while you're going through this video. First, a bit of an introduction. I have spent many years trying to understand the intricacies of OSU, in hopes of finding a way of improving that works for me. The journey of learning how to play streams has been a long one, and to this day, I still don't have the stamina necessary to do all of the things I want to do. At the time of me writing this script, I'm ranked 1200 in OSU Standard, having just set my top play of 714 PP on the 23rd of June, 2023. But if I stick to the guide I'm about to make for all of you, I know for a fact that I can and will achieve 2-digit. And in this guide, not only am I going to tell you how I did, and plan to continue doing, but I'm going to tell you how I hope I can help you do it as well. I am currently 24 years old, and that's going to end in less than a month, because I will be 25. If that doesn't give all of you hope that you can become good at OSU, then I don't know what will. It has taken me years and years of understanding my shortcomings and staying away from the things that do not provide valuable improvement for me in OSU to get to where I am. My goal in making this guide is to help those who might want to learn space streams learn them without needing to go through the trial and error that I did. Anyway, I've said enough about me for now. There are going to be 4 sections of this guide. The first focusing on stamina and how to build it. The second is going to be focusing on finger control, how to conserve your stamina and build consistency in your tapping without having to focus very hard on it. The third section will be focusing on putting the first 2 sections into action, because this is when you will be learning how to read space streams. And finally, section 4 will be focusing on how to put every other section all together and understanding fully how to play streams and space streams. So let's get into it. The first step to learning space streams is building your stamina, because if you can't play streams at all, you aren't going to be able to play space streams either. So we're starting on the ground floor. Now, what you're going to be able to play is going to be completely based on what skill level you are currently at. If you're only at around 3, 4, or 5 stars, you probably shouldn't be focusing on learning streams, because at that point it's a little bit more important to learn everything else before. And don't worry, I'm going to make sure that I include many maps for all different levels of players in the description of this video. I would always hear top stream players complain about lower BPM stream maps because they were just more difficult. I attribute this mostly to them lacking the finger control to be able to play these maps, because they just didn't simply train it. We'll get more into finger control later, but this is more about building actual stamina on these BPMs. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set a goal right now. Set a goal for a BPM that you want to be able to stream. Let's say, for example, that BPM is 200 BPM. What we're going to do is we're going to start building stamina on 170 BPM, and once we've mastered that, we're going to slowly build our way up to being able to do 200. Now, 170 BPM and 200 BPM are 2 completely different monsters. One takes an incredible amount of finger control and discipline, and the other one, not so much. 170 being the former, and 200 being the latter. The main thing to remember when you want to build stamina, and this goes for any BPM, is that if you are not pushing yourself to your limits on that BPM, you aren't going to build stamina. In order to build stamina, the first step is to run out of it. And for lower BPM, this can be more difficult to achieve, because your hands will naturally have more time to recover in between hitting each key, leading to burning less stamina. Now, if you are feeling that burning sensation in your hand, and you can tell your stamina is coming to an end, that's how you know you're doing something right. If you feel any pain at all during any point of your training, it's time to figure out why. Trust me, when I was working on building my stamina, there were many times that I felt pain. Every single time that I felt pain, I would reassess my tapping technique and figure out exactly why I was feeling pain. And I would immediately try to mold my technique in a way that would eliminate that pain. Nowadays, my technique is refined to the point where I can healthily stream throughout most of my sessions. And without this trial and error, I wouldn't be able to do that. Hopefully for you, it does not take as long as it did for me to find something comfortable. I'll go more into detail about this in section 2, but for now, let's get back to talking about how to build your stamina. You want to find maps that push you to your limits, but don't hurt you. So let's make an example up for this video. Let's say you were trying to max out your stamina on 185 BPM streams, because there's a map you want to FC that is at that BPM. The map I'm going to choose is Come With Me to the Other Side by Gaz Priest. This is the first stream map that I really wanted to set an FC on. So basically, what I did was, I played Come With Me to the Other Side quite a few times, and I would get a little bit farther every time. But it's important to realize that brute forcing one map might not be fun or might not actually build stamina, because if you're not having fun, you're probably going to not try as hard. So it's important to know that it's okay to play other maps, and especially nowadays, there are an insane amount of 185 BPM stream maps out there that you can take advantage of. Now, it's important to know that once you run out of stamina, give yourself a little bit of time to recover in between each play. Your hand is not going to recover instantaneously, and there are many things you can do to help your hand recover, such as shaking it out or even drinking water. Drinking water is probably the most important thing, to be honest. And I drink an insane amount of water when I'm playing, especially if I'm also drinking something else that dehydrates me. Because if you are dehydrated, your hands are not going to recover the same as they would if you were hydrated. So make sure that you are hydrated while playing. So you're probably asking yourself, what does this all have to do with me learning to build stamina on 185 BPM? Well, my only advice for building stamina on BPMs lower than 200 would be just play the stream maps. There's easier difficulties. Just make sure that you're pushing your hand to its limits, and once you push it to its limits, you don't go past, because once you go past your limits, that's when you start doing things that are going to promote injury, and you're just going to set yourself back, and you will not be making any valuable progress. So, respect your hand's limits and have fun learning 170 to 200 BPM, because it is a lot of fun. Building stamina on higher BPMs is a bit more difficult. I consider higher BPMs anything above and including 200 BPM. The way I built stamina for 200 to 215 BPM was to obviously push myself to my limits on those BPMs. Now, there are many ways of doing this, and that's exactly why I haven't been specific yet. So let's talk a bit about that. The first thing you can do is find maps around the BPM you want to build stamina on. For this example, we're going to say that it's 200 BPM. An incredibly good map at building stamina, and in fact, the only map that I used to build stamina for 200 BPM is Suikyu Heaven! Mapped by Juket. This map is honestly the best map for training your 200 BPM stamina in the game currently ranked to my knowledge. It features everything you need to learn 200 BPM, as well as build stamina while doing it. It has hard jump patterns that will train your single tapping, many bursts, and even streams. And they are all put together in such an amazing way that will always push your stamina to its limits. Unless, of course, your stamina at 200 BPM is already unlimited. Honestly, I don't know what other maps to recommend for learning 200 BPM, because this map is just that good. And honestly, if I wasn't already bored with the map from learning 200 BPM with it, I would more than likely rate change the map to 205, 210, 215, and even 220, and learn those BPMs as well, which I probably might end up doing anyway. Before I end off the stamina section of this video, I just wanted to sit here and talk a little bit about stamina in a way that isn't as scripted, because what I tell you in this video isn't always going to work. And there might be days where you're just not ready to build your stamina on whatever BPM you want to play, and that's okay. But you need to realize that there are other ways that you can build your stamina that will be productive. And you're not going to see instant result. You might see some, like as you get warmed up, you might feel like you're seeing results, but you're simply just warming up. So let's say you pop up Come With Me to the Other Side, and you're playing it, and every run you keep doing a little bit better. I mean, yes, that's great, but there's going to be a time when you come to an end and your stamina isn't going to be able to push any further, and that's fine. But what you need to realize is that that's normal, and pushing yourself harder without allowing yourself to recover is not going to show you the results that you think it is. So remember, every time you push yourself to your limits on that specific BPM, that is when you are making valuable progress. The next session, if you play the next day, probably won't show you results. It takes time to recover beyond that for most people. But remember, it's very important to take rest days and understand exactly how your stamina is built and making healthy decisions that aren't going to injure you. So I wish you all luck on building your stamina. If I left anything out that you might be questioning, feel free to leave your question in the comments below, and I will try my best to get to all of them that I can. Now let's get to section 2. So now that you have a bit of stamina, it's time to start building finger control and learn how to turn your newly acquired stamina into results. There are many Osu players who are much better than me at sensing rhythm and staying on beat. Since I am not one of those players, I am the type of player that won't let my inability to properly stay on beat affect my ability to set the plays I want to set. So if you happen to also be that type of player, then you have come to the right place. Now, we're going to go over the multiple ways that I have been able to cope with my rhythmically challenged gaming prowess. And don't worry, if you aren't as bad at rhythm as I am, you can still probably benefit from applying these methods to your gameplay as well. First things first, without my wife, I probably still to this day would be terrible at streams, because she is incredibly musically talented and taught me how to keep myself on beat. It is incredibly difficult for me to do so without the method that she taught me, which is very simple. All I do now is count in my head whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or sometimes even 1, 2. This has helped me tremendously with my ability to hold high accuracy, hit streams consistently, and keep my fingers from speeding up or slowing down when I might be uncomfortable with a section in a map. Once I started doing this, the game became much easier, and I was able to hit things that before would confuse me, or I wouldn't be able to follow the rhythm of. Counting in your head can help a ton, but it's not the only thing that you need to do in order to keep yourself on beat if you are as rhythmically challenged as I am. I find that it also helps to turn my game volume down low enough so that I can hear myself tapping, in order to sync the two, being my counting and my tapping, and make sure that I am not going to overtap or undertap a section. Eventually, it does become muscle memory and you won't need to listen or even count, but it still does help even after you have memorized a map or section of a map. Not understanding why you aren't hitting a space stream, even though you were hitting all the streams before, it can be incredibly frustrating. Please make sure that you work on this section for a decent amount of time, as without the experience, it's still going to be incredibly hard to hit space streams, because it takes a lot of attention and concentration to not lose focus while hitting them. Don't be the type of player who thinks they are a space stream master just because they hit the beginning of Raise My Sword. It is true that depending on the BPM of a map, the space stream can be incredibly easy, such like that of Raise My Sword or any other Sotarks map with a stream in it, besides Cry Thunder. That map is bullshit, or extremely hard to hit, like maps of songs by Lorna Shore, pretty much any black metal map ranked today, and other high BPM maps that have space streams. Trust me, if it were easy to hit streams like these, everybody would be doing it. But it takes a lot of discipline, and many players do not have that. But those who stick to it, learn, grow, and become consistent will be able to play in FC maps like these with ease, especially in the coming years. And who knows, maybe there will be a time when a nomod or hard rock player lands themselves in the top 10 once again. Although that seems a bit more and more impossible each day. But at least you will eventually be able to play DT speed maps, because those have streams, right? Well, not everybody will develop the ability to hit streams at such high BPMs, above 250, but at least there have been more and more maps being ranked with streams that are actually doable, especially maps around 200 BPM that are worth over 900 PP, like Chronostasis. Believe me, all of these maps are possible for pretty much any stream player to FC. All it takes is dedication, time, and a lot of retries. Also, don't be the type of player that lets your lack of peripherals hold you back, because it does not matter if you play with mouse or tablet, and it does not matter what keyboard you are using. There's always a way for you to make the most of it. Although I will say having the wooden keyboard has done incredible things for my technique and ability to play speed. So maybe I lied, but who knows. Now that we know how to build consistency, we are going to talk a bit about how flow aim and jump aim differ from one another. and things that you can do when you are aiming streams to help yourself more accurately and precisely hit them without over aiming or under aiming. So let's start off by talking about the ladder. This section is pretty much the last section. However, it does lead directly into the last section of this video that will focus on how flow aim and jump aim are different, why they matter, and what are some things you can do to optimize both. But for now, we are going to talk about how to read space streams. Up until now, you have probably been playing streams that are fairly easy to read. You might not even have to look at the entirety of the stream in order to be able to hit them. Overlaps are probably giving you a bit of trouble sometimes, and that's normal. But now it's time to focus on what you need to do in order to hit space streams consistently, and keep your combo even after you have finally hit that space stream you want to hit. Hitting space streams, once you have everything you need in order to do so, is actually incredibly easy. But without one of the skills necessary, they can be very hard, or even seem impossible. The main thing that I focus on when I am playing space streams is making sure that I am using my eyes to look at every single individual circle that is a part of the stream. With streams that have lower combo, it's also possible to look at the pattern that stream follows and hit it that way. But with higher BPM streams that tend to be higher approach rate, it can be hard to do this due to a lack of density of the stream. This is when it is crucial that you look at every single individual circle, because without doing so, it is very easy to miss, over aim, under aim, or just completely whiff altogether. I will also add here that it is pretty important, even if you are going to miss an entire stream, to play a map throughout its entirety, especially for stream players, because when you are attempting to FC a map, learning it is the most important thing you can do in order to maximize the odds of you actually FCing it. And if you retry as soon as you miss, all you are going to do is make the ending of that map more and more foreign to your hands and eyes alike. I would consider this the mind block of stream players, because if you are reading a map and looking at each circle as best you can, it is incredibly hard, if not impossible, to mind block on the map. As a matter of fact, I would say that I actually don't even experience mind block anymore, and it's because I follow each and every circle with my eyes, which is something that AIM and DT players might struggle with, because the maps they are playing are incredibly fast, much faster than most stream maps. Now that I have rambled for quite some time, you should at least have an idea on how to tackle your first space streams. And hopefully throughout the training, you might have even attempted or hit some space streams already. I can say that what I have told you in this section alone is probably going to make everything else click for you. I shared this with my buddy who introduced me to the game, who hasn't really played it as seriously as I have for quite some time. And the next day I could immediately tell that his aim and flow aim had both improved. And I could also tell that he was reading the streams and the maps he was playing much better than the previous sessions we had played together. The man is ranked 25,000. And often comes out on top when we play multiplayer sessions together. The first few days, even though we had both been rusty after taking breaks, he didn't take a single map off of me. Now it's pretty much 50-50. I'm starting to think I might just be bad at the game, but hopefully that's not the case. Either way, I believe that what I have shared with you so far is all you need to know in terms of how to hit space streams, FC stream maps, and become a decent stream player, especially if your baseline skill level is above or comparable to mine, which is incredibly low, by the way. Like I said, my rhythm sense is abysmal. It's taken me years to get to where most people get in much less time. And overall, I probably should have quit this game a long time ago, but here we are. Now, let's talk about how to optimize your aim and stay on point for when you need to use both your flow aim and your jump aim in a map. Okay, so flow aim and jump aim. This section is going to be quite short, covering a few things you can do in order to improve your flow aim and stop over-aiming streams because of already developed muscle memory. It can be difficult at first to hit streams because of a lack of muscle memory related to flow aim. When all you play is jumps, moving your tablet pen or mouse as fast as you can might become somewhat of a bad habit. This usually results in the inability to perform well on stream maps until actively focusing on slowing down your hand in order to follow streams. One way many stream players learn to help make this more comfortable is to change the way they aim. With mouse, there isn't really much you can do besides changing your mouse's DPI in order to increase precision. When playing with tablet, you can either drag your pen or hover when you aim. I personally drag, which seems to help me with precision aim. I will let you decide for yourself which is best for you. But remember that as you grow as a player and start playing harder maps, you might need to change parts of your technique that might help you do so. And what I said about reading streams earlier in this video ties into the flow aim part of this section. When you look at every individual circle in a map, it becomes a bit easier to tell your hand when to slow down or when to speed up, which in turn makes transitioning from streams to jumps fairly easy. Okay, so it's time to wrap things up. This video contains every single thing I know about how to learn space streams, improve your stamina, finger control, and all of that. And whether I am able to perform them or not is not a result of the guide, but my own personal shortcomings with Osu. As I said before, I'm a pretty old player, and it takes my body a long time to recover from long Osu sessions. So I don't expect improvement to come as quickly as it would for a player such as Emmerich, who is much younger and more than likely recovers much quicker from sessions than I do. So take things at your own pace. Not every player is going to be the next Emmerich, or whoever you might look up to. And remember, the most important thing when playing Osu is having fun. If you aren't having fun, you should probably take a break. To end off this video, I would like to encourage other stream players to share their personal stories on how they learn to play streams. I think it would be really cool to hear how players from all different places learned how to play streams, and the things they did that might set them apart from other players. Plus, I'm not done learning, and maybe there might be something someone else knows that I don't and can possibly utilize in my playstyle. I want to thank you all for watching, and personally wish you all luck on your journeys. I hope that this video helped you learn space streams and understand them a little bit better, and I'll see you all in the next video. But for now, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.